Morning, everybody. Everybody on this is like staring at the top of my head. Not that it's not beautiful, right? In fact, I had a little problem with this morning. Everybody's worried instantly because we're staying with the Kimballs. They're like, oh no, they had a problem over there at the Kimball. Who knows what it is? It had nothing to do with the Kimballs. It was all on me. I like on Sunday mornings, I like to be clean and pretty for all of you. And that involves getting a fresh shave on my head, right? So I went to get my fresh shave on my head, and I didn't have any shaving cream. That's packed in a box somewhere between here and who knows where. So I had a little problem. I was not going to shave my head without some shaving cream because that would not be clean and pretty. It would be blotchy and itchy and ugly. So I asked Maria, I said, can you find me some shaving cream? She says, okay, no problem. Don't worry, I got this. And she came back with this really slim, petite little lavender-colored can, and it said silk on it. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, this might be a decent solution to this problem. And it was very nice head shaving experience. And now I smell like raspberries. So it's pretty wonderful. So wasn't a real big problem. Crisis averted, thankfully. But if you've ever done a Google search for problems, like do a Google search for, don't do this, actually, it'll be depressing. A Google search for America's problems or problems in the United States. You get this horrible list of what people list as our problems as a nation, including things like terrorism, racism. You will find empty churches as one of the problems listed, Social Security, housing crisis, homelessness. You find all these horrible things that are listed as our problems as a nation. That's not even getting into the political realm there with that. But then, when you get a little more personal and you search for, and I think these are true, individuals' problems, people's problems, not the problems of the entire nation. Of course, that's made from people's problems. But what are the things that are being a problem that are plaguing and worrying individuals in our nation? One of the top ones that you will find is debt, and a lot of that is mortgages, and then things like student loans and credit card debt is just out of control, has been for many years now, and just continues to be out of control. If you've never broken out the numbers on credit card use, when you drop by a convenience store and you buy that $2 Twinkie, it costs you $300 by the time you pay that thing off if you buy it on a credit card. I mean, it is insane how expensive credit cards are. But also listed is health. Health is listed as one of the top issues, one of the top problems for individuals in our nation, starting with, of course, cardiovascular disease. That's a huge problem in our nation. Diabetes is way up there. Numerous health problems. And then we throw in everything that happened this last year, and it has really contributed to another one of the problems for individuals in our nation that is on the rise is mental health. And along with that is worry, doubt, and fear. And throw in the events from this last year, that really increases those issues. But then throw in now that it's an election year. Now we've really got some mental health issues on the rise, I think, including most of our candidates. And we look at these things, and these are things that we've got to deal with. I mean, they're not just on paper. I mean, these are all things that affect people every day in their lives. And it's not just people outside of this building, it's us as well. I mean, just because we're Christians doesn't mean we don't share some of the problems that people in the world have. Because we've all got this cart that we pull through life. It's not like a shopping cart. It's more like one of those carts that an ox pulls, or a donkey, or a horse, one of these carts with two wheels and attachment points, and you load it up with stuff that you want the ox to pull into town for you. We've all got this yoke over our shoulders. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see in a minute. It's not an egg yolk. We've all got this yoke over our shoulders to attach us to that cart so that we can carry it along with us through life. And we put all these things in our carts. All of our stuff, whether we realize it or not, it all occupies a place in that cart. It's all a weight. And some things are necessary to have in there, but all of our stuff, not my stuff is all in a container, I don't know where, probably drifting down Cook Inlet in the water right now. Our house, another thing I don't have anymore. I'm homeless. I don't have a house. I'm not worried about the roof leaking, but that goes in this cart. You know, our vehicles, I'm getting kind of low on those too. That also might be drifting down Cook Inlet right now. I don't know. Those go in the cart. Are the things that we have for entertainment and enjoyment, things like boats and four-wheelers and snow machines, they're still a load in our cart that we've got to pull around. The things that we like to have, like TVs and computers and tablets and surround sound, and the necessities of life that we can't live without, like cell phones. They're all part of that load in that cart. Things we collect, like movies and books and CDs or cassette tapes or VHS, or anybody going back to 8-track? Anyone still have any of those? Reel to reel? You know, some people still have lots of those things that they collect, and we don't realize that might be putting more weight in our cart than we really need to be pulling around. All of our accounts, bank accounts, it's pretty hard to get by without some kind of bank account today. You know, just paying bills for things like heat, light, you know, some things that we really need, like heat. Sometimes you just have to have a bank account, some way of paying those things. But even though that's an intangible thing, it's in that cart that we've got to pull around. Think about all the accounts you have, like email, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Mishmash, Hobblebach. I'm just making stuff up, but they're coming, I'm sure. And we'll get an account on those because we'll need one for something, you know, to access this, that, or the other. Think about when you get online and you want to order something from some company, what do you have to do? You have to open an account. And then to open an account, you've got to have a username and a password. This is driving me crazy because I get onto sites where I just want to read this article, but I have to open an account to read this article so that I can study for my lessons for church. And I've got to open this account. So I got to plug in username. That one's got an easy password. Okay, well, this is probably the only time I'll ever be here. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's got to be 8 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, it's got to be numbers and letters. 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D. Nope, got to have a capital in there somewhere. 1, capital A. Go through the whole thing again. Oh, now you have to have a symbol. I'm pulling my hair out, if I could, over this. And that's all stuff that goes in that cart and we got to pull around. All of our bills. Again, an intangible thing, but every loan, mortgage, car payment, cable, satellite, internet, movie services like Netflix, Hulu, Vudu, Udo, Crackle, Twitch, Smash, whatever it's called. All of those things go into this cart that we pull around for our lives. And then, that's not even including our jobs. And all the stuff that's included in our jobs, and all the accounts, and all the stuff, and all the people that we have to deal with, all the relationships. We haven't even included anything about having kids in here yet. A lot of stuff in our cart. Whether we realize it or not, we got to lug that thing around with us everywhere we go. Uphill, downhill, around corners, in the swimming pool, while we're sleeping, while we're awake, while we're eating, while we're trying to exercise, whatever it is, we're yoked to it. Well, who says we got to have all that stuff? Why are we listening to them? If it's not God saying I have to have that stuff, then it's an opinion. And if it's not God's opinion, does it really matter? You got to have a look at that. Because we have this tendency to overload our carts. And a lot of people these days are feeling it. Why do I think I need all that stuff in my cart so I can lug it around? Some of that stuff at the bottom of the cart I haven't seen in years. And there it was, getting packed up into a trailer to go to Florida with me. I said, what is this? Why do I think I need that? Why would I put all that stuff in my cart? Why would I lug all this stuff around that's just pulling me down and making life more difficult? And the answer, honestly, is probably because everyone around me does it, so I don't question it. Even as parents, we teach our kids these are the expectations. You got to do all this stuff, you got to have all this stuff, and you got to be all this stuff. It's not always stuff that God says. And aren't I supposed to be different from everyone else anyway? So why do I do all the same stuff and have all the same stuff and collect all the same stuff and try to be all the same stuff? Why is all that same stuff in my cart when I'm supposed to be so different from the people in the world? We've got to be careful with what we load into our carts. We've got this tendency to not pay as much attention to what we're throwing into those carts and lugging around. We're kind of prone to overloading those things. And pretty soon it's busted down. Nothing falls out of this cart, okay? That just doesn't happen. It all stays stuck in this cart. And it gets overloaded and busted down, and the wheel bearings are going bad, and it's kind of dragging on the ground. We're still lugging that cart around everywhere we go. Even though we're Christians, we still have an inclination to load up whatever the world around us says we need to have in our lives. I mean, advertising works on us too. Before long, we got that cart loaded down, even with worldly problems. Maybe even with sin and doubt and worry and materialism and the whole bigger and newer and better and more bells and whistles. And, you know, everybody's got a little different ability to pull a cart. It's real easy for us all to overload, no matter how much we can pull. And then it gets to the point where, you know, it's a yoke, right? Maybe the idea there of a yoke is that hopefully there are more than one pulling this cart. And even if you got a 2,000-pound ox helping you pull this cart, before long you look over, your pulling partner's gone. You look back at the cart, there's a 2,000-pound ox kicked back, cracking the whip at you. He's not even helping anymore. It's just kind of what happens with this. And we don't have to be yoked that way. We don't have to. God gives us this incredible alternative there in Matthew 11, 28 through 30, where Jesus says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden." Do you labor? Are you heavy laden? That means you got a lot in that cart. And I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And Jesus implores us, he gives us this incredible offer to take his yoke upon us and to learn from him, because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. A yoke is that big wooden thing you see there between these two oxen. It goes over their neck, in front of their shoulders. It's kind of like wearing a backpack. It's kind of like the straps on a backpack that allow the weight of that pack to rest on your shoulder so that you can walk around with it. The idea here is that you've got two animals then that can pull the weight of that cart. And together they can pull a lot more. They help each other do this. And Jesus says, take my yoke upon you. So Jesus has got room for you at his side to pull his cart. He says, come and learn from me. When we learn from Jesus, and we take his yoke upon us, that allows us to cast off much of that load that we don't need. We don't have to bear the weight of things like sin and worry and doubt and fear. And it allows us to start getting rid of some of those other things that we don't need as well. He makes us this incredible offer. It makes me question then, if Jesus makes this offer to take his yoke upon me, what does that say for all the stuff that I've loaded up into my cart? Is it really necessary? Or maybe is it something that I need to take a good look at? Maybe there's some stuff that I need to get rid of. Otherwise, Jesus probably wouldn't offer this alternative to me. Maybe would Jesus make this offer if we didn't need it? If my yoke and everything that I'm dragging around were just fine, would Jesus ever make me this offer? My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, it's important that we understand this. This doesn't mean that Jesus takes our yoke upon him and carries all of the foolishness that we load up into our cart. All those unnecessary things that we don't need, that we tend to load up and burden ourselves with. It doesn't mean Jesus comes and he's a much bigger, stronger animal, and so he will carry that load for us. He's not saying, hey, I don't have much going on here, so why don't I just take all that junk for you? And you can keep loading stuff up in there, and I'll just carry it. Don't even bother fixing the wheel bearings. I'll just drag this along for you because, hey, my yoke, the stuff I've got, it's easy. My burden's light. So I'll take all the heavy work from you, and you can just keep going the way you're going. That's not what he's saying. Give me all your burdens, and I'll just deal with it, and you can keep loading them up. That's not what Jesus is saying. He says, you take my yoke upon you. He's already got a yoke. He's already attached to a cart. And he says, you come over and you carry this one. This burden is easy. My yoke is the one you want. Do it my way. It's better. Live life the way I say to live life. It's better. That means we get to have a cart that's loaded with all the things that Jesus would have in it. Not the things that everyone else wants in them, or even the things that sometimes we think we want in them. And he says, learn from me. Don't rely on him. Don't rely on our own wisdom. Don't try to do it our own way when Jesus says, here's what works. Here's a good way. Don't try to figure it out on our own. We might figure it out. We might learn it, but it's going to be the hard way. And in the meantime, Jesus is over there going, hey, this thing we call life, I kind of invented it. All right, trust me on this. I know how this works, and I know what's going to be better for you. Take his yoke upon us and do it his way. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. There are things that we won't find when we're yoked to Jesus. When we're dragging that cart. We won't find things like worries. Jesus says, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? He says, you don't have to be worried. Doubts. In Matthew 7:7, Jesus says, ask and it will be given you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. We don't have to go through life loading our cart down with doubts. Fears. We can certainly cast off fears. 2 Timothy 1:7 says that God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Those are the kind of things that we get to get rid of. And instead, load up our cart with things, Jesus' cart, things like joy, peace, abundant life. That sounds pretty appealing to me. If we could look at our lives from the beginning of our life all the way through eternity and just single out your own life all the way through eternity, then we could look at what Jesus offers, what life can be from start to finish and then off into eternity. That'd be the easy way to see that his way really is much better. The things he's offering us are incredible. Not because being his disciple is not demanding. Not because doing things his way makes all of life easy. Not because taking his yoke upon ourselves relieves us of all of life's difficulties. Not because of things like that. Certainly not because we can be irresponsible and disregard Jesus and load up that cart and then just hand it to Jesus to carry. And crack the whip. Come on, get along, pull it for me. Nothing like that. But because when we take his yoke upon us, when we're yoked with Jesus, we pull that cart through life, we don't have to worry about what gets thrown in there. Everything that belongs is already there. We don't have to go through life being worried that cart's going to get too heavy for us to pull. Because we're not loaded up with things we don't need in there, the things that drag us down. And we got Jesus beside us, helping us out. Because no matter how bumpy or rutted out or muddy the path is, I got the Lord right there and I'm yoked to him. and he's helping me through this life. And it doesn't matter whether it's uphill or downhill or through the swimming pool, through the mud, it doesn't matter if I'll take his yoke upon myself. I'll never, ever look back and see Jesus in that cart driving me with a whip. He'll always be right there helping. I think that's an offer we need to consider. Everyone, a lot of people are feeling heavy laden. A lot of people are feeling burdened. And there's a lot of it in the world that's just going to be thrown at us because we live in the world. But there's an awful lot that we may pile on ourselves and not realize. We can get rid of all of those things. We can just leave that whole cart, land to the side, and yoke up with Jesus and make life way, way better. I hope you'll consider that. There are problems in life. It's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. But we have this unique opportunity through this offer that Jesus makes us to take his yoke upon us, where the yoke is easy and the burden is light. And we know that our pulling partner is faithful and will always be there and will always do what's best for us. It's a choice that we get to make. And if you haven't made that choice, or you made that choice, but maybe you're trying to load things into that cart and you need to get rid of them, whatever the case may be, if there's some way that we can help you be yoked with Jesus and live life that way and experience abundant, wonderful, incredible life, not just in this life, but for all eternity, then please let me know how we can help you do that as we stand and sing this song.